Hi there. Thanks for dropping by for this video. It's a somewhat different format to what you'll usually find on my channel, but it is something that's really important to me. So if you're a subscriber, then welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, then thanks so much for clicking onto the video. Today I'm going to be talking for a little bit, or maybe quite a long bit, about the effects of gaming on a person's life, and also how toxic it can be. I'll be drawing a lot on my personal experience. If this video helps or is informative to even one person, then that's enough for me. Whether you're a hardcore gamer, casual gamer, a parent, or just close to someone who's deep into the rabbit hole of video games, then hopefully this will be interesting insight into the mindset for you. Or maybe just provoke you to think. In this video, I'm mainly going to be talking about the effects of multiplayer gaming. So if you take a look at the lists of top video games in the last few years, especially on Twitch, you can clearly see that the leading games are always ones with a multiplayer aspect, such as Dota, Fortnite, League of Legends, Grand Theft Auto 5. I thought before I got started, it would be a good idea to give you a couple of credentials. In that sense, we're just going to have a look at a couple of my online gaming accounts to get an idea for the amount of time I've invested into games. This is by no means an all-encompassing view of my gaming history, just what was easily accessible. So first we're taking a quick look at my Steam account. Steam's a platform that manages and allows the purchase of innumerable games of all kinds of genre. As you can see from the list here, I've got over 1,300 hours in Life is Feudal. That's my current obsession. Beyond that, we've got 750 hours in Ark, 250 in Gmod, and then a large number of other games with between 50 and 100 hours. So next we'll take a look at my World of Warcraft account. I'm not currently playing, but it's worth taking note of the absurd amount of time in game that I've got. So checking the three main characters I've played on, we're looking at 26 days, 28 days, and then 85 days, for a total of 139 whole days in game, coming to over 3,000 hours, not accounting for my previous accounts and other characters that I've played on less. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to leave running in the background some footage from Life is Feudal with a timer attached, so you can see the mindless nonsense that I'm doing, as well as the amount of time an average session might be, and maybe just give you something to look at rather than my face. So now that we've got my credentials out of the way, let's get to the point. I've been thinking a lot about what it is that makes video games such an addictive obsession. Really, I think the crux of it is that we gamers deceive ourselves internally about the value of what we're doing. Like, we work hard and we spend many, many hours not only progressing in terms of what we've gained in the game or online, but also honing and perfecting our skills. So a great example of this from my own games is the guild rankings in Life is Feudal. My guild's in the top 20 guilds in terms of the official rankings, and we as a guild seem to take pride in that. The rankings are calculated based on the sum worth of the buildings and all the objects owned by your guild. So we're actually a fairly small guild in terms of the number of active players we have, maybe 10 or 20 active players, yet we're managing to compete with guilds that have hundreds of active players, and we take pride in that fact. But what are we taking pride in? We're taking pride in the fact that we've invested more time into this game than other people, and I use the term invested very loosely, in that usually if you invest something you expect a return, but what return do we get from the game? This phenomenon of pride among gamers is a really interesting thing to me, actually. People, myself included, will compete over who has the most time in a game, comparing your Steam library or your in-game played time. And the reason that being that, more time in game should, in theory, represent a higher level of skill, a demonstration that you're better at the game than the person you're competing with. If I have 1,000 hours played in Life is Feudal, I'm certainly going to be better than someone who's got 100 hours, or almost certainly anyway. The question is, if gamers are so used to the idea of recognizing that time spent can result in an increased level of mastery over something, then why is that never reflected in our real lives, or at least rarely? I heard someone talking about this recently, and I think it has to do with two main things. The difference between immediate gratification and delayed gratification, and then also the difference between choosing to do something and being told to do something. So if we look at the first idea, immediate or delayed gratification. So in real life, you have to learn to accept something called delayed gratification. If you don't, then you'll never get anywhere. You can't just say, okay, I want to be an astronaut, press this button, tick this box, now I'm an astronaut. No. You spend years training, you go through trials, maybe you go through a number of initial rejections. It's not fun, it's not always easy, but you're working towards a goal. You accept that you have to go ungratified for some amount of time, a possibly undefined amount of time, until you reach your goal. And even then, there's a possibility you never reach your goal. Games aren't designed to be this way. Most well-designed games do still have those desirable long-term goals that people can work towards, so they still have that sense of achievement, of gratification at the end. Having reached the top of the leaderboard, having reached the maximum level, having won a big tournament, whatever the goal is. But along the way, they don't force you to delay your gratification. They're also fun in the short term. So when you first sit down to play your game, it should be fun and gripping from the moment you pick it up to the moment you put it down. Games are designed to be that way, otherwise they'd lose their market. Along the way, they give you lots of little, micro goals or achievements, or you can even set your own goals. For example, with Life is Feudal, we might, first we focus on shaping the land, then for setting up our base, and then next we get the houses up, and then the next goal is the warehouses, and then the next goal is the blacksmith shop, and it goes on and on with those little hits of achievement and gratification to keep you going. Unfortunately, real life isn't always so rewarding in the short term. And I think another thing that has made games so addictive, especially in recent years, is the dawn of multiplayer gaming. I think humans are innately competitive. Certainly most of the humans I know are. So it gives you another tie into the games, the fear of falling behind, especially if you're playing, high intensity games like PUBG or Call of Duty, Apex Legends. If you take a week off, your level of skill is going to drop. You'll fall behind on the meta. You'll be falling behind your opponents. You'll fall behind your friends. And I guess in a way, it's sort of an extension of FOMO, fear of missing out. As for the difference between being told to do something and choosing to do it, I'm not sure it applies to everyone, but for me, I find it's a lot easier to do something out of your own free will than if someone's telling you to do it, even if it's the same thing. So if someone said to me I had to sit at a computer all day, clicking over and over, moving dirt from place to place, whatever it is, for no pay, there's no chance I'm going to do it. Whereas I choose to do this sort of thing for my own free will because I see some sort of goal at the end, even if it's not an important goal. Take, for example, cleaning your room. As a kid, if your parents tell you, clean your room, do you want to do it? No. Even if you recognise that your room is messy, you still don't want to do it. Then if you haven't been told to do it, but you do notice your room's a mess, you might be like, oh, okay, I'm going to clear up. So, choosing to do something for yourself is a lot easier than being told to do it. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a stubborn person. No, there's no maybe about that. I'm a stubborn person, but I'm not sure how much this applies to other people. So one solution that I did come to off the back of my obsession with gaming was that I thought, okay, maybe I'd try becoming a Twitch streamer. So I want to gain a following of people who would play with me, watch me, support me, with the aim eventually being that I could play games full time, and then maybe, the guilt and the feeling that I was wasting my life might be gone because I'd be earning a living doing this thing that I loved rather than just doing it in my free time or using all my free time doing it. However, looking at it from a more sober stance, I think it's actually a really unhelpful idea. Like, my skill set would just become more and more narrow until the point where gaming was all I could do, and as an individual I wouldn't be rounded at all. My time would be completely dominated, streaming for hours every day. I'd probably come to resent it. I'd have little to no job security, and I'd be supporting an industry that, at its heart, I think is quite unhealthy. Video gaming is one of the, if not the biggest industries in the world. Apparently, the video game industry has earned more than Hollywood and the music industry combined for the last 8 years. By supporting this industry, I'll be helping to make more people unplug from the real world. And to do what? Sit in front of their computer watching me play games? Perhaps there's an argument to be made for the value of having a bit of time where you can sit back, relax, stop thinking and just mindlessly watch something you enjoy, but I think the extent our society does that is just too much. Looking at this thing as a whole, I think I have a few different ways I could approach it, and in reality the way I approach most things in life is rather logical and sometimes a bit nihilistic. So if you look at it quite logically, you could argue, okay, there's no reason that pursuing something productive, like, I don't know, learning an instrument, is any more important than playing games. If I enjoy playing games, why should I not just spend all my time doing that? It's not hurting anyone, it's not causing any harm to anyone. Why should, I don't know, learning to play the violin be any more important? Neither of these actions have some intrinsic value, they're just two courses of action, neither one more beneficial than the other. I don't actually believe what I've just said. It's more just a thought process that I go through sometimes, and perhaps, a way to convince myself that there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. Maybe we gamers focus too much on the short term, and we don't think about our long-term goals, how we're going to look, how our life's going to look in 10 years time, 15 years time, what effect it has on our health just being locked inside all the time. Maybe a week inside just playing games doesn't matter, and then the next week, and then the next week, but you don't think about the fact that it's turned 5 years. So another analogy I find somewhat useful when thinking about this is looking at poker. So a really rookie error in poker is to continue playing a hand that you're going to lose. You draw up your cards, right? Initially, okay, you get your 2 cards. You look at it, you're like, okay, this might be all right. So you put in some money, or in my case, you put in 500 hours. Yeah, you draw up your next card. You're like, okay, no luck. This isn't a great card. So you put in another 200 hours to get your next card. Still no good. So you put in your next 200 hours. Get your final card. Yeah, this is definitely a losing hand. So what do? You've got two choices at this point. You either keep upping the stakes to try and bluff the other players out, or you just cut your losses and fold. So the smart move is to have folded 2 cards ago when it started to look like the hand was really weak. The rookie move is to keep driving the stakes up and up and up, and then just lose all your money to the guy with a royal flush. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I've played 500 hours, I'm invested. In my heart, I know there's no big reward at the end. This isn't a winning hand. This isn't a game I'm going to win. But you keep putting your time in anyway. And either that means I'm going to get to 40 and end up homeless because I don't have a career and I certainly won't be gaming when I'm homeless, or I keep scraping through the game until the end of my life, where eventually I leave the table with nothing. Nothing but my name on the top of a few leaderboards, shortly to be replaced. And that really isn't what I want for my life. Imagine what I could have been doing with those thousands of hours. I could go on adventures across the country, around the world, find new friends, create something. This is the thing. I really do want to do great things with my life. I want to find love. I want a family. But who's going to marry someone who's spending 35 hours a week gaming? What makes me an interesting person? What makes me exciting to be around? I want to create something, or to change the world, to change people's lives. I want to do something that has a real effect. And the thing is that maybe I don't know how. The world's tough. The world's hard work. So I go back to my games and maybe I'll figure it out next week. I've spoken a lot about how we put such a high value on our achievements online, our high-level characters or our online rankings, but in honesty, there's one simple thing that we do every single day that makes all of it completely meaningless. Allow me to demonstrate.